Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Sullivan Bard here, or you can call me Sully. I'm still going over more reviews for Disney's 100th anniversary, but the one I have today is an animated fantasy I have fun memories of, and in watching it again, its enjoyment still holds up, at least when overlooking many flaws I have with this and noticing more. First released on December 25th, 1963, it's The Sword in the Stone. Set in the dark age of medieval England, the King of England has died and a war has raged, until a miracle appeared of a sword stuck in an anvil that, whoever pulls it from its place, will be the new King of England. But many have tried and failed, and the sword was eventually forgotten. Yet a wizard named Merlin hopes to educate a boy named Arthur, or Wart as everyone calls him, to be greater than he is, as Wart is a squire in training, working with his older adopted brother Kay and living with his adopted father Sir Ector, serving kitchen duties of washing dishes. And in serving as Wart's teacher, Merlin educates all he knows of science, history, geography, and the future, with some amount of magic to become animals and learn their ways like a fish, a squirrel, and a bird, even to gain a couple of lessons from Merlin's owl Archimedes, as well as coming across a witch named Madame Mim, who claims to be more powerful than Merlin. All the while, after getting news from Sir Pellinore from London, Kay trains in jousting as the winner will be crowned King of England. Director Wolfgang Reitherman has made an alright and sometimes fun animated fantasy based on the book by T.H. White, with fine characters, an okay story, alright songs, and okay animation. And I say that because even though this film came out a decade before Robin Hood, the animation is weaker than the latter film. Repeated animations with different dialogue, sometimes with added material or stuff taken out, or expressions not matching the tone of voice, and it's often consistent with Wart or Merlin, and occasionally Kay or Ector. Yet the rest of the animation is something different, mostly when Wart and Merlin become animals, and even with Madame Mim. But the reused animation isn't the only issue I have. Like, Merlin is to be Wart's teacher, and there is some education he gets, but it isn't much, and it's either vague or too basic. And the film's own title rarely has any play throughout the film. Yes, it's mentioned in the opening and it's brought up again in the final act, and the film did say the sword's forgotten when many tried to pull it out. But why would Disney, even when Walt himself was alive then, would adapt this King Arthur legend only to use his characters and create an original story? At least Robin Hood stuck with the legend of its characters and story with only small creative liberties. This one seems completely backwards and revised. Not to mention how Merlin, having powers to see the future and go into it, never once brought up that Wart would be king, and could easily teach him and guide him to become one. I know this is supposed to be a twist that we're not supposed to know, but given Merlin's character, and if you knew the original Sword in the Stone story before seeing this film, everything else in this film would have been very pointless and wasted. Wart's bug-eyed expressions are too much, too freaky, and too distracting to like. Wart's one yelp is repeated a lot, and the same thing goes with the wolf. His voice deepens from time to time like the actor went through puberty, like you couldn't replace him. However, in growing up watching this since I was a kid, I didn't even care about the details, as the stuff I liked back then still hold up. There are some fun moments like the wizard's duel between Merlin and Mim, and the magic Merlin uses. Cute moments when Wart and Merlin are squirrels and facing the females. Some funny moments from Kay and Ector getting washed by enchanted mops and brushes, to Merlin having problems with his beard, especially when it covers his head in a fluffy star-like shape that made me laugh out loud. Speaking of Merlin, he's actually my favorite character of the film, with his magic, knowledge, design, and personality. Even though he has his senior moments of being forgetful of spells, and once too often surprised by Wart's responses, His cheery and almost wholesome ways make him pretty likable and even funny with some of his expressions and dialogue. Though I do wish to see what Merlin would look like as a bird. The songs are another thing I like, and they're done by the Sherman brothers Richard and Robert, and this film came out 1 year before Mary Poppins. But while they're not as good as the Mary Poppins songs, these ones are fine enough. That's What Makes the World Go Round, Mad Madam Mim, and my favorite, Hiccutus Ficcutus. And overall, despite its many flaws, I mostly find it fine and kinda fun. It has its moments and I got more out of it than Robin Hood, even as a kid, but in looking and thinking more on it, it has more problems with its animation and story than Robin Hood. Yet I remembered having more of a good time here, and I still do when ignoring my gripes with it. I might sound very mixed and up in the air on this, but I give this one a decent pass. 2.5 plus Mickeys. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Facebook or X, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video.